The Lunar Pokemon Cresselia is making its way back into 5-star raids, and I have to tell you, this boss is actually worth going after. Cresselia can be quite difficult if you are not well prepared, and that is going to be the point of this video. I'm going to be telling you how you could defeat Cresselia and giving you the reasons why you need to raid this boss. Alright, let's jump right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day, and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Today we're going to be talking about the Lunar Pokemon Cresselia. This is a legendary Pokemon that is a pure Psychic type, and I have to tell you, it is actually really good for a variety of different reasons. It may not necessarily be that great as a raid attacker, but in terms of PvP, it is absolutely essential. Therefore, this Pokemon can be seen as a highly valuable trade chip. So if you are trying to get a good lucky trade with some of your PvP friends, then this is a Pokemon you will want to farm up. On top of that, Cresselia does have its shiny form in the game, which is one that a lot of players typically go after. Cresselia is not a Pokemon that Niantic releases often, so getting the shiny form and having a bunch of them for trades is absolutely essential. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about how you can defeat Cresselia, because like I said, if you are not well prepared for this raid boss, you will actually have a very difficult time. Cresselia is a pure Psychic type Pokemon, which means it's going to have a weakness against Ghost type attacks, Dark type attacks, and Bug type attacks. It's also going to be resistant against Fighting type attacks and Psychic type attacks, so make sure you avoid bringing any Pokemon with those attacks. The perfect IVs for this Pokemon is going to be 1633 and 2041 if it is weather boosted. Since Cresselia is a pure Psychic type, it's going to be weather boosted by windy weather. So if you want yourself a weather boosted Cresselia, then you will want to go out when it is windy outside. The only thing is with Cresselia is that it is mainly used for PvP, so the lower the CP that you can get, the better it's going to be. Of course, it's currently not possible to get one under 1500 for the Great League, but if you manage to collect a good number of them, you might be able to get one that is good for the Ultra League. In order to defeat Cresselia, you will need to bring about 6 trainers if you want to secure a win. Of course, every single one of those trainers need to be level 35 and bringing the right counters. Now, if you want to challenge yourself with the least number of trainers as possible, you could definitely take this boss down with 2 other trainers that are at least level 40 with the right counters. But it is possible to duo this Pokemon, but it is going to be extremely difficult considering that Cresselia has some really high defense stats. In my opinion, I wouldn't even bother trying it because Cresselia is really difficult to take down if you are not well prepared. Now let's go over the counters that you should bring up against this raid boss. First and foremost, there's plenty of different Mega Evolutions that you could bring. As long as it has the Ghost typing or the Dark typing, you will be good to go. There are also good options for Bug type Mega Evolution raid damage, but I think there's going to be a lot more Ghost types and Dark types that are going to be a lot more useful. Probably the highest DPS Mega Evolution is going to be, without a doubt, Mega Gengar, and that is of course because it has an insane amount of DPS. But the one caveat is that Mega Gengar also has the Poison typing, which means it's going to take double damage from Psychic type attacks, which Cresselia has a few. So that is something you need to keep in mind. Make sure you pay attention to the recommended Pokemon when you jump into the raid, and cater the Mega Evolution based on what counters it puts in there. If you see a whole bunch of Dark types, then you will probably want to go with a Dark type Mega Evolution, like Mega Houndoom or Mega Tyranitar. But if you see a bunch of Ghost types, then it is probably safe to use a Mega Gengar, and you'll be able to take down Cresselia with the least number of trainers as possible. Now, in terms of the other counters that you could bring outside of Mega Evolutions, Shadow Tyranitar with Dark type attacks, Hydreigon with Dark type attacks, Goldango with Ghost type attacks, and Chandelure with Ghost type attacks are going to be the absolute best. Every single one of these Pokemon deal an insane amount of damage per second, and of course, because Cresselia is weak against all of their typings, it's definitely going to be useful up against this boss. Now if you're talking about budget counters, Hydreigon, Tyranitar, and Chandelure are going to be your best bet. Tyranitar has a lot of TDO and some hard-hitting Dark type attacks, so that is definitely going to be one of the top Pokemon you will want to bring up against Cresselia. One thing to keep in mind is that Cresselia can also come with the Charge Attack Grass Knot, which is actually very strong against Tyranitar, so make sure you avoid bringing Tyranitar if you suspect that this Pokemon is going to come with that attack. but it will be safe to use Pokemon like Hydreigon because it does have a resistance to pretty much every single one of Cresselia's attacks, so that's something you need to keep in mind. Overall, this Pokemon is very straightforward. As long as you're bringing Ghost types, Dark types, or Bug types, you will have no problem taking down this boss. Make sure you coordinate Mega Evolutions with your raid mates, because if all of you are bringing Ghost types but you bring a Dark type Mega Evolution, well, that's not necessarily going to help the entire group. So make sure you communicate with people that are in the raid group, whether it be through Discord or whoever shows up in person. Make sure you're talking to each other and bringing the right counters and synergizing your Mega Evolutions. If you are able to do that, all of you will have no problem taking down this boss. But make sure all of you are well prepared and not just going with the recommended Pokemon, because Cresselia is a high defense raid boss, kind of like Suicune and Lugia, so it is going to require a good number of trainers in order to safely take down. Don't end up wasting your raid passes, make sure you're bringing the numbers and the right Pokemon, and you will be good to go. Alright, there you have it. So that was my raid guide for defeating Cresselia. It's pretty straightforward considering that it is a pure psychic type, and I have to say, because of its PvP significance, this boss is actually one worth going after. And like I mentioned earlier, Cresselia typically does not return to Pokemon GO in a very frequent manner, so if you want to get yourself a really good trade chip, make sure you go for those shiny Cresselia. If you follow the guide that I laid out in this video, you will have no difficulty taking down this boss. And yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for this video. Now, I would love to know your thoughts regarding Cresselia down below. Is this a raid boss that you plan to farm up? Was there a raid tip that I completely missed? Definitely share all of that down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. And if you can find me on social media, make sure you go and follow me. My handle is @Jinsula on both Instagram and X, or formerly known as Twitter. I really do not know what's going on with that. And I do plan to open up a Threads account as well. So yeah, make sure you go follow me on those platforms, and that would be a huge help. But that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.